Yo, everyone. Thought 2020 couldn't get any crazier? Don't stop asking that question. Stop asking. Stop saying it. Every time you say it's gonna get a little crazier, I have a feeling. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsberg has passed away at the age of 87 and has left the world in a bit of a conundrum. And I want to get into reaction on her passing tonight and talk a little bit about the aspects of what's to come now, and see if I can shed some light on what it is these dirty Republicans think they're doing. Let's talk about that a little bit. I want to get into what the left is doing to try to counter what the Republicans are up to, and how did I feel when I first heard? So I came out of work the other night, and as soon as I got in my car, I sat down. Boom, boom, boom. News flash. Looked down at my phone, and here's the news that Ruth Bader Ginsberg has passed away after her long battle with cancer, prostate cancer, I hear, which is just a horrible, terrible disease. And what she must have been going through at the end there, it must have been tragic, and none of us even knew what was going on. I don't know if you know this or not, but they kept this hidden from us for over a year. She was going through chemotherapy and all this stuff for such a long time. Who knows the hell she was going through, because they kept it secret. They didn't tell us until March that she even had cancer. So for some reason they kept that secret for all that time, which brings to mind at the beginning, before I even get started in any of this, all of this could have been avoided very easily. She was getting pressured in 2014, 2015, leading up to the end of Barack Obama's presidency. She was being pressured to step down, saying, look, you're 80-something years old now. It may be a good time to get out while you can, and we can replace you with a like-minded Supreme Court justice. And no, she refused. They decided to start making movies about her, maybe got her ego a little bit. And I don't want to talk to her, about her in a negative way. That's not what I'm trying to do at all, because she's probably one of the most respected liberals on the court. Her relationship with Antonin Scalia was amazing. It was so cool, the dynamic between the two of them. Justice Scalia, passed away a few years ago, 2 years ago, I think, somewhere in there, and they were diehard friends. And he was a huge conservative, and the strongest conservative that the Supreme Court has ever known in my lifetime. But their friendship together was like this hopeful thing for the rest of the country. The fact that they were able to have this coolness with each other and deeply disagree with each other in the most fundamental ways, but still have this friendship, it speaks to the rest of us and how we should be able to continue our relationships, no matter if we agree with each other politically speaking. You've always disagreed with me politically speaking. You just may not have known it. I've been on this journey for 15 years, literally. To get to this place was a long road, and only those who know me deeply from way back then had to sit through all those conversations of shit that they didn't even want to talk about, stuff they didn't care about. We're in our 20s, and James wants to sit here and smoke blunts and talk about George Bush and and the war in Iraq for 2 hours. So I've remained friends with those guys all these years, right? And we can too. So please don't ever take that. Don't ever ruin something because of our political disagreements. This Donald Trump thing is different, I understand. But you can take peace and solace in knowing that I'm not some blind Trump supporter, and I didn't vote for him. I voted for Ted Cruz in the primary and the general. That's how much I didn't like Donald Trump, okay? I wanted a strong conservative like Ted Cruz. And when the general election came around, I couldn't muster up the guts to fill in the bubble next to Donald Trump's name. So I wrote in Ted Cruz's name even in the general election. So RBG She could have saved a lot of y'all this headache and stepped away from the court years ago when she knew it was time. She didn't want to give it up. She stayed in till the end and happened to have a Republican president when it happened in the end. Bad timing, right? Look at this girl, how she feels about it.
I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsberg died! Could this year get any worse? Ruth, you just had to make it to 2021! You
That girl's crazy, man. She's real concerned with the human nature and the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsberg, it seems. Man, that's how they are. They just I don't care that you died. If you'd have just made it just 6 more months, everything would have been cool if you died then. It's disgusting. So anyways, I get this news update and I immediately think of my former boss, my old manager, and I think back to the Kavanaugh stuff when Justice Kavanaugh was being nominated and we're going through the Senate. The debacle that occurred during that time was a disgusting time and showed the politicians asses. Showed them to be who we all thought they were. They were who we thought they were, and they definitely were, and they are. But we saw what the left had in store for Justice Kavanaugh, so we can only imagine what we have coming up now. And it made me think about my old manager. I was kind of thinking about how he was at the time. He was very upset at Kavanaugh. And the stories that were coming out about him from his accuser. I remember my boss being very against his nomination and what they did to Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland was the nominee that they put up, that the Democrats put up at the end of Obama's administration. In March of his final year, they nominated Merrick Garland, the Democratic President Obama did, and turned it over to the Senate, whose job it is to approve of this nomination. Well, lo and behold, the Senate was owned by the Republicans and had a majority that grew in 2014 and got even bigger in 2016 after this all occurred. And so the people gave a majority to the president. Along with his presidency, they granted him a majority in the Senate also, which gives him the power to do more things than Obama had at the end of his administration. And as you'll see throughout this video, time and time again, this has happened, and it's nothing new. I just need to pass that message on so we don't think that this is something crazy out of the blue. Well, I decided to text my manager, and let's put it up here and take a look at it. You can see here my text to him, his question to me: does that mean Trump gets to appoint another judge? And I said, not unless he wants a civil war in this piece, because that's going to cause all hell to break loose. But that was when I was ignorant to the facts of the matter. You can see my initial reaction being, no, they can't do that, because what they did back then, they can't just go do the complete opposite thing now. Our memories, the way things are, my first immediate reaction is like a bunch of yours when you first learn of something. And then you get a little understanding of the context, and maybe you change your mind a little bit, as I have. As you can see how I fell here in this text message. I was immediat't saying, oh, no, he's not going to. No, after what they did with the end of Obama's administration, saying, you can't nominate a Supreme Court judge, a judge to the Supreme Court in an election year, right? A couple months before the election's coming up. So I bet you that's how most of you guys felt also, I would assume. Right? I mean, I assume everybody's first reaction was, no, that's messed up. I can't believe they would even do that. And then you're told, wait, there's a big part of this here you're missing. See, back then, it was a Democratic president and a Republican Senate who had the power to say, no, we vote against it. So you may think, well, that's not nice. Why would they? It's not fair. Why would they do that to him? You know, that's the messed up Republicans doing this shady stuff to, like, just wait until Trump gets in place and we'll be able to nominate someone. Well, there's precedence for this, and there's history of this happening over and over again. Ted Cruz has a bit better of an explanation for you than I can give, and especially on the numbers of times that this has all occurred in the past and things. So I don't want you guys to think that this is like something that's never happened before. Only Donald Trump would do something like this. Of course, in 2020, we're going to have a president do something like this. No, it's not what's happening here. This is something that's happened multiple times. I want to play this video of Ted Cruz doing an interview with George Stephanopoulos on ABC this week. Hopefully they'll let me use this. I don't understand the rules of how this works yet, I suppose. Even though I keep trying to look up the rules of it all, and I think I have an understanding of how this works, but maybe as long as I say, who owns the rights to this video, they'll let me use it. It's a news piece, so it seems like I should be allowed to use it. We're talking about public information here, so I couldn't imagine they wouldn't allow me to use this. But let's take a look at Ted Cruz explain to us in a more proficient manner the ins and outs of this situation.
If you look at history, if you actually look at what the precedent is, this has happened 29 times. 29 times there has been a vacancy in a presidential election year. Now, presidents have made nominations all 29 times. That's what presidents do. If there's a vacancy, they make a nomination. What has the Senate done? And there's a big difference in the Senate with whether the Senate is of the same party of the president or a different party of the president. When the Senate has been of the same party of the president, a vacancy occurs in an election year, of the 29 times, those are 19 of them. Of those 19, the Senate has confirmed those nominees 17 times. So if the parties are the same, the Senate confirms the nominee. When the parties are different, that's happened 10 times. Merrick Garland was one of them. Of those 10, the Senate has confirmed the nominees only twice.
19 times this exact situation has occurred where a president who is of the same party as the Senate has nominated somebody to the Supreme Court in the election season. 17 of those times, 17 of those times, that person was confirmed. So only twice did they not get through. And counter to that, when it was a president of one party, but the Senate was had the majority of the opposite party, only twice did those ones get through on the nomination. So you can see here that exactly what's happening right now is has been repeated many times throughout history, and shouldn't be treated any different than any other. The Republicans won the Senate, and they should be allowed to do what they're supposed to do. Now, the question for a few days there was whether or not they were going to do their job and do what they were voted into office to do. You see, Republicans have a history of going along to get along, getting along to go along, doing whatever they got to do to they would cave under pressure at every turn. And the media being against them so drastically, George Bush in this situation would have caved in a moment. He wouldn't have had the balls to do what Donald Trump's doing. It does take balls to do, even though I think he's right in what he's doing and it's justified, it's fine. You have to have some balls to do it, because you're going to get the hell cometh down upon ye from the media, which is only beginning to happen now. And what I find to be super interesting with this is these senators who are willing to put up with the fight against the media, who normally wouldn't be. These senators normally don't have the guts to put up a fight that they're gonna have to put up against the left and their media counterparts that do their business for them. These senators are willing to do this so quickly, and this is a huge change from the past of how they've been. I mean, they usually been a bunch of weak, scared to make any kind of noise people, especially in an election year like this. This is not normal for them to do. So I commend it, and the Republicans only have a 53 to 47 split on the majority in the Senate, and they could only afford to lose 3 to make it a tie if this vote comes up for this nominee that they're going to put through. Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine's not going to go along with this. They came out and said it themselves. It was already known they wouldn't. So Mitt Romney was a big wonder. I didn't think there was any way he's going to do anything to help Donald Trump. They seem to be mortal enemies lately. Well, Mitt Romney came out with this statement the other day and shocked the world. My decision regarding a Supreme Court nomination is not the result of a subjective test of fairness, which, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder. It is based on the immutable fairness of following the law, which in this case is the Constitution and precedent. The historical precedent of election year nominations is that the Senate generally does not confirm an opposing party's nominee, but does confirm a nominee of its own. The Constitution gives the President the power to nominate and the Senate the authority to provide advice and consent on Supreme Court nominees. Accordingly, I intend to follow the Constitution and precedent in considering the President's nominee. If the nominee reaches the Senate floor, I intend to vote based upon their qualifications. Now that's beautifully said. Even if he would have voted against it, let's say if he would have voted no on the nominee, it would have been a tie at that point, and it would have been 50-50. And in that case, the vice president is the tiebreaker. So we all know how that would have ended up. But thankfully, we didn't have to go there. And Mitch McConnell was able to rally everyone together to get the message out that they have the votes to be able to do this thing. Thinking of Mitt Romney, he's a senator in the most conservative state in the whole nation. The implications of what would have happened if he would have voted against it, if he would have came out and said, no, you don't have my support, man, he wouldn't have been in office much longer. So they took care of that. Okay, so we've gathered everyone's support together. Now, what is the left's response to all this? What does the left have in their quiver? Is the analogy that they want to use here? How many arrows do you have, Nancy Pelosi? I don't know how many brain cells you got left. I don't know what's going on there. You guys see this video of Nancy Pelosi having a short circuit in the middle of an interview on live television? All of a sudden, someone hit reset on her robotic brain, and I don't know how many times we've seen something like this. Something weird just happened out of nowhere. Let's take a look at this crazy nonsense that occurred.
As I said, on Friday, I started their early voting the day that we lost Ruth Bader Ginsberg.
But to be clear, you're not taking any arrows out of your quiver. You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning. Sunday morning. We have a responsibility. We take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States.
What in the hell was that? Good morning. Sunday morning. That was not edited in any way. I play the longer version here, but once again, ABC this week with George Stephanopoulos, who's making waves this week in headlines with his interviews, making people lose their minds left and right, as you've seen. So I have to be careful about showing those elongated, videos. This one was 30 seconds. Hopefully, again, I've plugged you enough. Hopefully I can keep this video online just because I'm showing, this public information. It's important for people to see and know. I have no idea what happened there with Nancy. I mean, my theory is that, most people are saying, here we go. Another robot politician had a little malfunction. A lot of people saying her senility, right? Oh my God. She's 80-something years old. It's starting to show. And it really has been with her for a long time now. But what else? What else could this have come from? My thought is it's a mixture of the latter. Yes, she's rather old. And I'd be willing to bet, like Joe Biden does, it seems a lot lately, she's been using the teleprompter for live interviews again. And I have a feeling that teleprompter reset in the middle of her interview, went back to, where she probably needed to be at the beginning of the interview. And straight up in the middle, he asked her a question, and all it said on the screen was "Good morning, Sunday morning" or something, or maybe it said "Good morning," and that was her realizing, what the hell did I just say? I'm reading straight from this. That's more so what I think just happened, which is equally egregious. You're not supposed to be using teleprompters to do live interviews. Just sitting there, just for someone someone asking you a question. You need a teleprompter fed to you so that you could properly answer. These people aren't humans in that way to me, right? Not in the crazy, deep thinking of conspiracy theories and whatnot. They're not human-like, but in the way of, first of all, the message has to be controlled. And who's controlling that message? Who's not allowing Nancy Pelosi, this very strong woman, Speaker of the House? What would be the purpose of having a teleprompter for someone like her? Interesting thought, right? Can't explain it. So anyways, in that interview, that was a long interview between her and he, and she was explaining the certain things that they can do for revenge, purely to get back at the Republicans for what they dare do to them. The Democrats in the Supreme Court is a very serious notion. They take that very serious. It's the end times for them when it comes to Supreme Court, what's going on right now. To them, traditionally, they've always absolutely nominated judges that would do their bidding from the bench, because being unable to get things passed through the legal system, they are able to have these things perpetrated through legalities of the Supreme Court, through judges' rulings. Right? You have a problem with getting Obamacare through certain things, it's got to go to the Supreme Court, and if you have that thing stacked in your favor, boom, all of a sudden you have Obamacare, right? Or the Affordable Care Act, if you want to call it its official term. So she's pointing out some of the tactics they can use, some of the weapons that they have, some of the arrows in her quiver that she had to, for some reason, and he even repeated. They had to say it so many times. It was it's been a long time since I've even heard that phrase, and here we go. It's like you're gonna hear that in the news repeated over and over again. Bet you're gonna keep hearing that thing that you've never even heard that phrase before. Now it's just you're gonna hear it out of the. Well, Senator, are you gonna unleash some of those arrows in your quiver? A bunch of robots with weak talking points that belong on bumper stickers. That's all they really have. So let's get into some serious thought of some of the things that the left is going to try to do to get revenge on the right for doing this. I have a video or two here that I want to share with you that will better explain their feelings of what they want to do. And as you're listening to these, think of the drastic steps that would have to be taken to even be able to pull these off. Most of these things, you would need to have 2/3 of the Congress and 3/4 of the state's legislatures to even be able to do these things. I mean, these constitutional amendments, and they're saying, yeah, we're going to get back, 2/3 of the Senate. We're pulling that off. I don't think so. But check this video.
Can abolish the filibuster. They can grant statehood to D.C. and Puerto Rico.
We talk about things like court reform, statehood for D.C., Puerto Rico. None of that happens if the Democrats do not take back the Senate.
What we'll do is very simple. We'll add D.C. and Puerto Rico as states. That's 4 new senators.
No matter what happens, everybody sticks
We're
with
going to
their
have to
team.
blow up the entire system. And you know what we're going to have to do?
No, I don't know about
you know
that.
what we're going to? Yes,
Yeah.
what you have to do?
You just got to vote.
Honestly, from what your closing argument is, you're going to have to get rid of the Electoral College. Because the people...
I don't see it.
Because the minority in this country decides who the judges are and they decide who the president is.
But you need a constitutional amendment to do that.
And if Joe Biden wins, Democrats can stack the courts and they can do that amendment and they can get it passed.
Well, you need
that's a
2/3
danger.
vote in the Congress and 3/4 of the state legislatures.
They may be able to do that.
Maybe.
So these are some of the options that they're weighing as ammo that they can use against the right for perpetrating this madness, which is not madness at all, as you've seen. This is very normal proceedings going on here. But you got Nancy Pelosi threatening to try to stop it from happening in the first place by impeaching Donald Trump or Bill Barr, if she has to slow down proceedings for the Supreme Court nominee, and threatening impeachment. Just threatening impeachment again? You want to do that again? That's a bad idea. Do it. Try it. See where that goes for you. You're gonna impeach them over what? It doesn't mean matter what. You just have to think of something so as to slow down the proceedings so that they can't get it done in this short amount of time. And you may be asking yourself, how are they gonna get this through in time? I mean, is there enough time to even push this through? Well, as Mitch McConnell explained to us, there's been multiple other nominations that have been pushed through in 19 days, one in 22 days. There's been very quick, proceedings done when it comes to this, and they're going to move this thing right along. So just accept that and know that's about to happen. And only because you have a president in place that has the balls to make sure this can happen. So if all this stuff fails and the president is able to get his pick in place, what does the left do then? Well, they've got all kinds of ridiculous ideas of what they can do, for revenge, on a revenge basis only, just to get revenge for him doing that to them. No, it's for us. He's doing these things for us. I'll just throw that out there. So as you heard in that previous video, they plan to do things like make more Supreme Court justices, increase the number from 9 to 14 or something of that nature, so that they can go ahead and just nominate a bunch of them. If they have power in the presidency and the Senate, they think they're gonna be able to pull a landslide off this election season and do all this. And if they were able to, as you heard the lady say, gain that much power, they would have the ability then at that point to stack the courts, abolish the filibuster you heard mention of. They can vote to add Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico as states, just make new states up, and in turn, doing that would give each of those two areas 2 senators. And they're it's so dirty. They're very liberal places. Washington, D.C. is a liberal bastion. Puerto Rico, would be more on the Democratic side. So they assume. So they think they could just make 4 new senators up to try to beat them out that way. I mean, it's dirty politics. And they don't even have any shame about it. They're just coming and saying it out loud now. They don't even care. It's nuts. Do you know what they would have to be able to do to pull any of these things off? It would take amendments to the Constitution. You need 2/3 of the Congress and 3/4 of the state's legislatures to vote in your favor. They're not getting that much power anytime soon, and they're kidding themselves if they really think. They don't even believe it when they say it. They're throwing as many threats out there as they can to show their base that they are trying to fight the good fight. That's basically what they're doing. So I see it. I understand it. It's politics, we know, but they're throwing empty threats out there because they know they're never going to have the power to be able to pull something like add more states to the nation. I've never even heard that threatened before. But again, the Supreme Court is so important to the left because of one reason. It feels like I think they only care about one thing, and it's that thing, abortion. That's all they care about. And it's weird how, that's a very important topic to conservatives also, right? But it's been the messaging of that's been so controlled over the last 40 years or longer that Republicans in quiet behind closed doors, support things, and then when it comes to how they vote and stuff, they don't ever do anything to throw a bone to the conservatives, to people who, abortion is and getting rid of abortion is very important to. And for all these years, if you really study the way Supreme Court justices have been nominated throughout all these years, there's a funny pattern you'll notice where the left can nominate the most outspoken, leftist activist judge in the world, and everyone praises it. The media says, what a good pick. And the right better not even think about voting against this person. Historically speaking, this has happened over and over again. And the right, on the other hand, every time they nominate someone, they have to be very careful to pick someone whose conservative beliefs are not obvious in their past judgeships, right? In their past rulings, they can't damn sure can't shown to have been anything pro-life in their beliefs, which is crazy. Conservatives don't think about the Supreme Court this way. They think about it as judges should not be following their political beliefs. They should not be ruling in a conservative way. Conservatives don't believe we should be nominating conservative judges. They believe you should be nominating Supreme Court judges who are going to stick to the Constitution, and they are going to rule in respect of the Constitution. And that's all they want, is somebody who's going to read it for what it is. Not say, well, I'm pro-life, so I'm going to rule this way. They do believe that being pro-life is part of the Constitution, so that's how you can get around that little conversation a little easier. You might be saying, well, they sure do care about abortion activism. Yes, but tell me one Supreme Court nominee a Republican president has nominated in the last 40 years that has been outright pro-life and wanting to get rid of Roe versus Wade. You can't show me that person because they've had to hide their judges and try to nominate people who are a mystery, but that you might be able to pull one off. No greater example than John Roberts. Right, when George Bush nominated John Roberts, I remember being so excited about it and supporting that nominee so much. In the last 15 years since that happened, he's done nothing but go against the conservatives and conservative beliefs, which I should be okay with if it was stuff that stuck to the Constitution. But John Roberts is a different character. I mean, he's damn sure not conservative. What he is he thinks he's keeping the peace. When Obamacare vote came up to the Supreme Court, he sided with the Democrats. And George Bush is responsible for putting the Supreme Court justice, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, in place. And he sided with the Democrats on something such a huge issue like that. This is unheard of on the left side. That's one example I can point out. So out of the last 19 Supreme Court justices, Republicans have appointed 13 of those. So they've had a lot of picks, right? Do we have some sort of conservative Supreme Court all these years? No, definitely not. Definitely not. What we have is a left-leaning Supreme Court that's been mostly nominated by Republican presidents. Every single... You have to understand the history of this. If 13 out of the last 19 Supreme Court justices were nominated by Republican presidents, 13 out of the last 19, 9 of them struck out for conservative causes. 9 of the 13 rule to the left on a constant basis. And why is that? It's because we couldn't nominate people who we knew. You have to pick people who are you're going to take a guesstimate on. And you're going to try to read into their writings in the past and try to figure out somebody but they can't be too obvious. If it's obvious that they're conservative and they have conservative beliefs, right? The media, the left is going to destroy them. The senators are going to go up there and drag that person. So they have to hide their beliefs. The left doesn't have to hide their beliefs. You better know that if they nominate a Supreme Court justice that they know what their stance on abortion is, and that person better be outright preaching it on a soapbox. You see the unfairness in this? You see how there's something wrong with that, right? But there's a reason for it. It's because the control of the message. The message is everything. Perspective is everything. Control of the message is everything. So as long as the left controls the media, they control the message. And why do I say 9 Supreme Court justices all struck out? That leaves 4 that I say haven't struck out of those 19 that were nominated by Republican presidents. So if 4 of them, what 4? Well, you have Antonin Scalia, who passed away 2 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and Clarence Thomas. Those 2 are rock solid. Scalia was the greatest Supreme Court justice of, I don't know, the last century, I'm assuming. I don't even know I don't know them all the way going back, but from what I do know, man was a genius. And Clarence Thomas is a genius. You should see when he got nominated. He got dragged through the mud. Anita Hill came up. There's a lot of history with the way Republican nominees are treated. Did you learn about borking? You know who Robert Bork is? When the Supreme Court borked Robert Bork, it's a term. It's an actual phrase that's become famous because it's so known what they did to him. Just pulling out the dirtiest laundry they can find on a Republican nominee. It never happens to a Democrat nominee. When Barack Obama nominated Justice Sotomayor, you didn't hear any speak of her family history and the dirty stuff in the closet that existed. Never heard any of that kind of stuff. You're always going to hear that kind of stuff with a Republican nominee. So I wanted to make that point. And I'll also point out they fully intend on doing this to this next nominee that Donald Trump puts out there, no matter who it is. You can get it ready now. No matter who that person is, they are a murderous, rapist, bastard. That person's disgusting, whoever they are. Look at what Gad Saad did about this. Look at this. Watch this.
This is Gad Saad. I didn't want to share this, but I feel that it's my responsibility and my moral obligation to do so. Irrespective of the person that Donald Trump decides to nominate to sit on the Supreme Court, I just want everybody to know that sometime in around 1972, could have been 1979, maybe 1994, that person sexually assaulted me. This person, yet to be nominated, the sexual predator who abused me either in 1972, 79, or possibly 1994, should not be sitting on the court. Thank you, and I'm ready to appear in front of the Senate in case people want to hear my testimony.
Okay. So 74, 79, or possibly 94. Okay, he's obviously referencing what they did to Brett Kavanaugh. You know, I don't know that story. What they did, they just pulled out Christine Blasey Ford out of the woodworks and put this woman with these anxiety problems up in front of the Senate, in front of Congress, to try to claim that Brett Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her. And when you boil it down to it, she claimed they just at this party with a bunch of drunken kids, threw her on a bed and let her get away right away. And that's the story. That was basic story. None of it was, there's no recollection of it from anyone, no proof. Her friends said they don't remember anything she's talking about. So all that it was just bad. But that's what they're going to do again. And this is what they're going to do to whoever Trump nominates. So just be ready for it. Now, the difference in this time is Trump has already come out and said he's going to nominate a female judge to become a Supreme Court justice. So that part won't be so easy, but if you want to see what they're going to do to these women, tune in, because no matter who they are, there's going to be something disgusting about them. I mean, with one of them, okay, so there's basically two women that are left in this, and Donald Trump will be announcing this on Saturday at 5 p.m. So we'll find out then who it is, but we basically know who it's going to be. It's been boiled down. The rumor is that it's between two female judges, Amy Coney Barrett and Barbara LaGoya. And already, already we see what the tactic is the left's going to use on each of them. Let's watch them destroy themselves, attacking, middle-aged female, which is a huge voter block that Trump is vying for right now. Those suburban moms that he's lacking in the polls with, right? So let's watch the left destroy themselves by going at her, at Amy Coney Barrett.
But as a frontrunner, the attacks against Barrett have already started. Yesterday, some on the left took aim at her Catholic faith and one of her statements in particular. Speaking of her legal career, she said once it was, quote, a means to an end, and that end is building the kingdom of God. While many bashed her and claimed she would violate separation of church and state, others quickly pointed out that all Christians are called by the faith to build the kingdom of God.
And Barbara LaGoya, who has a Hispanic heritage, she's Floridian. I think she has a Cuban background, and that's another huge voting block that Trump is killing it in the polls with. So let's watch those numbers further by watching the media and all these Democratic senators that are going to get on the stand and destroy this Hispanic lady. They're losing all kinds of support from everywhere because of these kind of things. And truth be told, this is not a conservative way of even speaking, the way I'm having to talk about these things, and the way that Donald Trump is playing into their hands by picking someone based on identity, their gender. He said, no matter what, it's going to be a woman, which, I understand the politics of it. With this seat being Ruth Bader Ginsberg's, it's, you're going to replace her with a woman, and nothing's said about that. Nothing. It's not a golden rule or anything. It's not an unwritten rule. It's just He's just doing it to counter the argument and the narrative that the media is going to try to use against him. With him doing this, they're not going to be it's not another white older gentleman. Okay, so I understand the politics of it, but this is not how we do things. Us on the right, we don't play into identity politics. We're not supposed to nominate people or judge people based on their skin color, their gender. None of those things, identity related things, are supposed to matter. This is supposed to be a merit based thing. Conservatives believe in being rewarded for your achievements, not being rewarded for the chromosomes that you have. So this part I don't like, and this is another thing about Donald Trump that we just have to deal with, because the fact that he's a populist showman who knows how to play the game better than any other Republican did with this media thing. So it's boiled down to these two ladies. We've already started hearing, even before they've even been nominated, they're already coming out, attacking Amy Coney Barrett's Catholic identity. The fact that she's Catholic, she said something about everything she's accomplished and done in her career has all been for building the kingdom of God. The left is so offended by this and immediately screaming, "You can't have this religious zealot in place here. This is not a theocracy." Come on, what does that mean? I mean, when she was up for becoming a federal judge, when Trump nominated her to be a federal judge a few years back, the left attacked her then on her Catholicism. And you know what this does if you think about it? Maybe you say to yourself, well, yeah, we don't want somebody talking about they're building the kingdom of God that's going to be in a place of federal Supreme Court justice, So, but think about it. If you say that, you're basically disqualifying all religious people from being able to be a Supreme Court justice. You don't want to do that. You don't mean to do that. You think you're doing something with good intentions, but you don't see the outcome of what that's going to cause. Think about that. So that means anybody who has a belief in a higher power is disqualified immediately from public service? What the hell are we turning into? That goes against everything this nation has been about for all these years. It goes against our Constitution. Man, I hope they pick her. Let the left go ahead and destroy her on grounds of her believing in a higher power. It's not right. I mean, I hope you're not comfortable with that idea. Also with Barbara LaGoya, I'm going to nominate someone who's a person of color and a female. This is playing into their hands. This is the type of politics they do. We don't do that stuff, Donald Trump. And I know you're going to do whatever looks right on paper.
This is great. Listen to what Donald Trump lists as the qualifications of Supreme Court finalist Barbara LaGoya.
Well, she's excellent. She's Hispanic. She's a terrific woman from everything I know. I don't know her. Florida. We love Florida. So she's got a lot of things.
She does have a lot of things. You got the list? 1, she's excellent. 2, she's Hispanic. 3, she's terrific. 4, she's from Florida.
See, so he doesn't know, man. He doesn't know. He's got really good people around him, conservatives who are advising him, and he's not someone who's well read into the conservative movement, right? So he doesn't know quite how to answer there, except for the very surface level, type of analyzation. So, that is what it is. But I appreciate those people that are around him because they're doing a good job. The first couple years there, I wouldn't have said so about the people he surrounded himself with. But man, lately he's really pulled together a good team, I feel like, and he's going to make a smart pick that's going to rally his base. It's going to start to pull in from that middle ground, and help gain him a lot of support. So that pretty much sums it all up. That's my stance on all of this. I believe Donald Trump had a right to quickly announce he was going to nominate someone to replace Ruth Bader Ginsberg. And I would like to repeat one more time that may her soul rest in peace. And I hope I wasn't too quick moving on, to the conversation of all this, without recognizing, her stature and her place in the history of this country. But in summary, Donald Trump had the legal and moral justification of making this pick, the historical precedence to do it, and he's going to quickly, and they're going to move this through as fast as possible in case he does lose the election. And if he wins that election, there's a damn good possibility that he gets to nominate at least another 2, maybe even 3 justices. So there's a lot of reason for those of you who care about these kind of things there's a lot of motivation. There's a lot of motivation to get out there and vote. I highly encourage all of you to vote, no matter who you're voting for. I highly encourage you to vote. And I highly encourage you to look at the right side this time. I highly encourage you to look at voting for someone who's named as a Republican, someone who disgusts you, if not for anything else, but to save this country from going down a path that we've never attempted to go down before. And I'll let me back that up a little bit. I know Joe Biden's not a radical, y'all. I know. So don't let that piss you off too much. He's not some radical. He's being controlled by radicals. A Joe Biden administration 10 years ago would have been the same thing as Barack Obama's. I mean, it didn't end up drastically terrible or anything. So that's an easy way to say maybe, it'd be okay. He's not going to last in that seat very long. And that's the point I'm going to try to hammer in over and over again. In due time, however long it takes, he will be stepping back, sitting down, letting Kamala Harris take over and run this country from a much more radically left place than a lot of you are intending for it to be run from. You want to see California on a national level? Vote for the Democratic Party right now. Otherwise, you want to see prosperity and the continuation of civil rights in this country the way that we know them to be? Vote for the Republican Party this time. At least this time. I beg and plead of you. Anyways, y'all, good night. This was a longer video again, and I hope you stuck in through all the way through this point. Please do give me a like, maybe share this video, subscribe to my channel. It'll help me greatly. But please do at least punch that like button for me, y'all. I really appreciate it. Hope to speak to you soon. All right? Good weekend, y'all.